Here we are today. I'm Kristen Armstrong, and I'm here today as part of the official Amgen Tour of California Tour Tracker team. And I'm bringing you today's women's time trial in San Jose, California. It's going to be a grueling test today. They call it the Race of Truth for a reason. Today's 20-mile course is going to feature a climb soon after the riders push off the starting ramp. And as the riders navigate around beautiful lakes and golf courses, which I'm sure they're not going to be seeing during their hard effort today, but they're going to have to prepare for the most difficult finish that any Amgen Tour of California time trial course is offered. And as the riders make their final right-hand turn on the route, they're going to come face-to-face with the climb up Metcalf Road to the finish. It's a 3-kilometer climb, and that's where you'll see riders gain 1,000 feet in elevation gain, which is about a 10% grade. It is definitely going to be the race of truth. Today, I'm out here with 15 of the top women across the nation representing this great time trial that Tour California is offering today. First off, we're going to have Mara Abbott in the start gate as she prepares to take this challenge. Each rider that's representing today, they have so many things that they're looking towards on this course. I think that there's been a lot of talk on whether or not they're going to do bike changes. So it's something you're going to want to look after. With the last 1.6 miles being a 10% grade, some of the hill climbers, such as Mara Abbott, have decided that they are going to take a bike change. This is a tactic that sometimes you never know if it's going to work out in the end, but I know that they've been here for days practicing whatever their tactic is today and what their approach is going to be. We have a couple great women out here today that are world class, not necessarily in the sport of road cycling, but in cyclocross, in triathlon. Two of those people are Katie Compton, who we all know is one of the most successful U.S. cross racers that the world has ever seen. Then you also have Julie Dibbins, who has won the 70.3 World Championship triathlon, as well as multiple world championships in the sport of Xterra. As you can see in the background, the flags are picking up and the wind is strong. There are a couple sections on the course today, especially in the last half, where the wind is going to be a true factor in today's performance. In fact, leading into the Metcalf climb, there's a 4-mile straightaway flat headwind section on black pavement that's going to be grueling. In fact, it's exactly the time of any triathlon or in any time trial where you start falling apart as a rider. So I think focus and the aerodynamics are key. And here we go. It looks like Mara Abbott has started out of the gate. She told me earlier today that she has no problem starting off too fast. I had told her that consistency is going to be key into a good performance today. But she said, I don't have that ability. I go, I have one speed, I focus, and I give it all I can. Looks like she's nice and comfortable. Aerodynamics, she's on a felt. She has SRAM components. Nice cadence. You can see that she has a special time trial skin suit today, that special motivation from Pactimo. She actually has the flag of Colorado on her right sleeve, her name on her left. And so she was surprised with that just one day ago. These little pieces all go inside of a rider's mind when they're trying to pull out their biggest performance. It looks like here we have Katie Compton. Like I said, Katie Compton is the most successful U.S. cyclocross athlete in the sport with over 80 UCI cyclocross wins and is a current UCI Cyclocross World Cup Series champion. Here we are back with Mara. Namaste. She's very focused. She loves to go to yoga on the side. She's a yoga instructor back in Boulder, Colorado. And so when she looks down and she's suffering, she's going to take a deep breath, and that word namaste really means a lot to her. The riders today are going to go off in 30-second intervals, and so the advantage you have being behind somebody is crucial. You're going to see that follow car about 20 seconds in front of you. As you can see, Katie Compton here can see Mara Abbott's car right in front of her. It's so exciting to see somebody like Katie Compton come out and be part of the road team. I think that this undulating course, she has her advantages today because a cyclocross rider like Katie Compton, She has the ability to go up and down in her efforts. Mara, you can tell she's just such a natural climber. She's nice and smooth coming out of her saddle here. She climbs mostly out of the saddle, and she looks so fluid. She has about a 1 mile climb here, and then she's going to get into some more rolling terrain. The wind is not quite a factor yet, but as we open up onto this course later on, it will be quite the factor. As you can see, she's taking direct lines. It's really important for a time trialist to cut off any unnecessary road that is needed. I spoke with Katie Compton earlier today, and she said she's so excited to be here at the Tour California time trial, and it's such an honor for her to be invited. She's taken this time trial seriously. I saw months ago on her Twitter account that she was so excited when her Trek time trial bike showed up at her house and she was getting it dialed in. As you can see, Mara is right in front of Katie Compton, and the tactic here is I think that Mara is going to be a much steadier time trialist over the 50-mile plus minutes that she's going to take to finish this course. Katie, she's used to starting a cyclocross race out really hard and strong. And so don't be surprised if you see Katie Compton close a gap on Mara as we start here in the first opening kilometers. It's nice and smooth. Katie has taken this very seriously as well. You can see she has all the correct aerodynamic equipment that's necessary. She as well is on SRAM components. Oh, and here we have another Trek rider taking Julie Dibbins. She's a triathlete, world-class triathlete, another special guest here we have at the Tour of California time trial. She is a 70.3 world champion time trialist. She also has multiple world championship titles in the Xterra races. You can see she's number 13 and she's put it upside down. Sometimes we do that as we are superstitious. We want to have as much luck on our side during this day as possible. She as well is taking the shortest lines. You can see her cutting the course. She has just a little bit of a lower cadence than we saw with Katie Compton and Mara Abbott, but she seems to be doing a good job keeping steady out of her aero bars and just climbing as she would if she was on her road bike. Julie has an interesting story. She was injured last year. She had knee surgery, and she hasn't quite come back fully on her run, as she's only been running 3 times a week for 30 minutes at a time. So she's been able to direct all her energy into this race of truth. And she's very excited and has told me that she is very honored to be one of 15 women invited here today. She as well is on a Trek bike, very aerodynamic. She's been doing a lot of local races in the Colorado area to practice. Although she is a world-class athlete in the sport of triathlon, she's had to race a lot of the local events as a Cat 4 road racer as well as in the 35-plus women. She is 38 years old, but she is strong as ever. And here she as well, you can see the moto right in front of her. And these 30-second intervals are really going to be an advantage as you can stay focused on that car in front of you. Here we have number 12. We have Robin Farina. Robin Farina is riding for Now Novartis, and she was last year's national road champion. She's on her S-Works Specialized on the Shiv. And here we are back with Katie Compton riding strong. Oh, actually, that's Julie Dibbins, both on a Trek. I was mistaken there. Nice and smooth. Her cadence is coming up. Full advantage. She as well has taken it to the point where she went to the velodrome in LA to make sure that her aerodynamics were cued in before showing up. It's all the little things that make the difference on time trial day. Here we go. Robin is trying to get some speed. I'm sure she's looking in front of her at the car of Julie Dibbins, keeping focus on that motor, following those lines, taking the shortest route possible, as any extra time is going to slow you down. She's going to set up this left-hand turn. Remember, Sometimes when you're going through technical sessions on the course, you want to be cautious, you want to take risks, but at the end of the day, you typically aren't going to win or lose through a corner. She's trying to duck her head, staying as aero as possible on these flatter sections. It is very windy out there today. Currently, they're getting pushed by a tailwind, so it's extra motivation. Right now, you have to keep your head down, such as Robin. Keep nice and smooth. Keep that cadence up, because we have a big day in front of us. You can see the wheel choices today. You have disc wheels in the back, which is going to help the aerodynamics on this course. It also, the front deep dish wheel is a good choice for the day. These pieces are so important to the overall picture when time trialing. I always said that as athletes at a top level in fitness, we're all at the same level. But at the end of the day, who's doing that extra 1% to have that advantage over everyone else? Here we have Jasmine Glacier. Now, Jasmine Glacier, she's riding for our team TIPCO. She's an amazing 20-year-old out of Canada. She was on the 2012 bronze medal team in London in the team pursuit. She's now making her way over and transitioning to the road side of things. You have to watch out for her in the future. She's a strong girl and has a lot of things going for her. She's a good finisher and also a good time trialist. Here we have back to Robin Farina. You can see sometimes when riders start getting tired, they start dipping their head down. We have to really focus when we're out there, keeping our helmet nice and steady. Back to young Jasmine Glacier again. Like I said, I think right now at age 20, she's not quite sure exactly where she's going to fall in a couple years. But coming from the team pursuit in Canada, the London Games, she's a force to be reckoned with. And here we go. Camera's back on Robin Farina once again. She has a great position. She's moving around a bit on her saddle, just trying to find that comfort and trying to find that nice steady pace. Again, you want to try to keep as still as possible when you're time trialing. Those aerodynamics are so key in the end result, especially when we're focusing on just that extra 10 seconds that separates from winning in the podium. Back on Jasmine Glacier, she's riding with the Fuji. You can see Jasmine has gone with the 808 wheel in the back versus the disc. I heard some rumblings about this wheel choice because of the hilly terrain in the back. It doesn't seem to me that Jasmine is going to take a bike change, just seeing that she is on a deep dish in the back. Again, this is a really exciting opportunity here today with Tour Tracker at Amgen Tour California. 15 women here, and to be a showcase in front of the Men's Tour California is such an amazing opportunity for these women to be part of the Amgen Tour California men's race and to be part of Tour Tracker. This is so great. We're only 1 week out from the national championships. Not only are we going to be alongside the men in Chattanooga, but it's going to be the first time, the inaugural event, where women have been brought with the pro men side by side in the pro championships. We're all really excited to be in Chattanooga as well. And this event today is just one event that's going to show where we really are at fitness-wise and who are going to be the favorites in a week from now. Here we go. We have Kristen McGrath from Team Exergy 2016. She's coming up, it looks like, on Jasmine Glacier here. Kristen, she just came off of a really good Gila time trial just last week. She was third in the time trial, and Kristen is just an overall rider. She's been at it for a while, but she's part of the U.S. national team. She's always there for her teammates, and I think that she's going to be one of those riders that doesn't have a strength in the flats, a strength in the climbing, but she's going to be an overall consistent rider on today's course. I spoke with Kristen McGrath earlier today, and she has decided not to do a bike change. She said that she feels one with her time trial bike. So she's really excited about this event, as we all are. And it looks like she's riding really strong right now, coming up on her 32nd person, Jasmine Glacier. You can see the different cadence. They're keeping light on their pedals. And you can see the different. Jasmine is still down in her time trial bars. Kristen feels more comfortable out of the bars. I found that when I was riding time trials, once I hit a climb, the minute that momentum was lost, I definitely came up out of my bars because you want to have as much power in those hip flexors as possible. And sometimes when they get a little bit squeezed in that position, you lose power, you lose speed, and soon it's really hard to get that momentum back up. It looks like we're going to be cresting the climb. Kristen McGrath is out of her saddle, charging for the top as she finds that momentum as she passes Jasmine Glacier. You know, today's time trial, people have been asking me all week who I think is going to be the top 3 finishing today. You know, that's what's so intriguing. Today's race and today's course, I couldn't pick that top 3. I think today I'm going to put Evelyn Stevens on the top step, followed by Allison Powers, and I think that I can see Amber Neiman coming up on that 3rd step as well. But I think that we have a lot of opportunities out there, and it's going to be a long day. Here we go, back on Kristen McGrath, looking smooth, aerodynamic, down in her tuck position, nice cadence, and you can see on her sleeve right here, she has a custom skin suit from Pactimo as well. She has her state flag of Colorado on her arm, and just a couple words of motivation. You know, watching these riders today, it just makes me want to be out there today. Heading to the time trial course, my husband said, "Kristen, remember, you're no longer racing, you're retired." Waking up this morning at 6 a.m., I just felt like I was riding a time trial. I had the nerves. And so I'm just as nervous for these girls as I'm sure they are out there today. And being part of the Tour Tracker team is so exciting as I can give back to the sport and really, really be in touch with women's cycling for years to come. You can see that we're on a very flat section here. The wind is picking up. At the point in the course, we are actually still getting a tailwind. So Kristen McGrath here is getting that push that she needs. But you can see the fluid movement in her legs. She, as well as on SRAM, you can see that she's pushing a big gear. She's down in that 11 tooth cog. So that tailwind is really pushing them. Another interesting thing about Kristen McGrath is she's gone to a 650 bike, so she's on a smaller bike. She feels that she is more comfortable on this smaller bike and that she can have more control and handles much better through the corners. Here we go, number 8. We have Ray Shaw here from Canada. Ray Shaw is such a strong cyclist. She just missed out on making the Canadian Olympic team last year, but she's definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think that she's another one of those consistent riders. Again, it looks like the road is a little bit rough. She's trying to find a straight line, trying to find her way. But wow, we couldn't ask for a better day here in San Jose. It's great weather. It's like low 60s. No rain, just a little bit of wind. And there's a lot of excitement on top of the hill waiting for these girls to finish. She's riding one of those new cast helmets that are becoming more popular out there in the peloton. Again, her head's coming down again. Sometimes that happens when we get tired. But boy, does she have a nice aerodynamic position. It looks like her wheel choice, too, was going with that disc wheel. Yep, she's only been in the sport of cycling for a couple years now. She actually came from a multi-sport background. So she is definitely enjoying the transition, and she's enjoying focusing on one sport versus the 3 disciplines that she was always trying to focus on in her career of a triathlete. She's from Washington, and again, she's part of the Canadian national team, and is definitely an all-around cyclist, which is going to make her a really good top contender on today's demanding course. You can see she keeps on tucking her head down. Nice smooth pedal stroke for Ray. You know, Ray was here last year as well, where she had a great finish. And what's intriguing about the Tour of California is we get to experience a different time trial course every year. So that's always exciting. Nice and smooth. Now, the Vanderkitten team is an interesting team. You know, their motto is that they're all about everyday women doing extraordinary things. Oh, here we go. We have number 7, Lauren Stevens. Lauren Stevens is guest riding for Team TIPCO here at the Amgen Tour of California. She just came off a big win from the Presbyterian Criterium where she surprised the Pro Peloton with that number 1 win. The best Criterium sprinters were there for this race, and she pulls it off. She's from Dallas, Texas, and what I've heard about Lauren is she owns the state of Texas. And so she's just gotten out and has done her first races as part of the national circuit in the NRC. And she has so far has had a great showing. She typically rides for FCS. But you can see that she's coming up on her 32nd person. And she's definitely using her as a carrot. Again, this is Lauren Stevens from Dallas, Texas. And she's guest riding for Team TIPCO. She as well chose a deep dish wheel in the back, so I'm guessing that Lauren is not going to do a bike change. Oh, here we go. We're on Taylor Wiles. Taylor Wiles is one of those up-and-coming women. She rode for XG 2012 last year, and now she made the big step to Specialized Lululemon. She has had some amazing results this year. Taylor Wiles, she's only 24 years old, and I tell you what, this girl is going to be something. She already is, but every race you see, she was 5th in the Murco time trial, 3rd in the San Dimas time trial, and 2nd in the Redlands time trial. So every race she's done this spring, she continues to improve. Again, she's a consistent rider, very young, and such an exciting career in front of Taylor. She as well as on SRAM components. And, you know, Specialized in Lululemon, they're very focused on aerodynamics. Oh, we have a quick shot of Amber Neben. She's a current national champion for the U.S. I tell you what, you can never count Amber Neben out of any time trial. She has had more experience than anyone on the start list in the time trialing. And here she is. She is already coming up on not only her 32nd person, but I can see her minute person just rounding that corner. I always say that once you're a time trialist, you're always a time trialist, no matter your fitness. I spoke with Amber at Redlands and her husband, and she's going into this year, taking it a little bit slowly. She's riding for an Italian team, Pastazzara. You know, she wanted to take a deep breath after the big Olympic Games last year. And I think it's smart. She's a veteran. She knows that it's very important to take those down years, and that's what she's doing. Wow, she is really putting some time on already onto Taylor Wiles. Amber looks so smooth. I think she's going to be definitely wanting to defend her title next week in Chattanooga at the Pro National Time Trial. You can see Amber has taken this climb. She's taken these lines. You can tell that she's won with her bike. She's aggressive. She's determined today. I've seen Amber in a lot of time trials, and I would say today she wants the win. She's just back and forth on this course, making sure she's taking the shortest line. Last year she was with Specialized Lululemon, and now she rides for her new Italian team, Pastazzara. And she's on a Fuji bike. She as well has chosen a full disc in the back, but you can see the front wheel that she's chosen is definitely a shallower dish than some of the others. But again, Amber, she's just a full-time trialist. She can ride the descents technically very well as climb. And here we are, we're on Jade Wilcoxon. She is a new talent that has sprung up in the last year. Jade rides for Optum Pro Cycling, presented by Kelly Benefit Strategies. And she showed the world that she is a strong cyclist. She's a very good finisher. She just got off the U.S. national trip this spring, where she had some great results for her first time over in Europe. She did a full cyclocross season. And here we are. We're back on Amber Neben. Look at her. She has already passed Taylor Wiles, and now she's coming up on the next two riders. And who are these riders going to be? Wow. This is going to be, she's passed one, and now she's going to pass number 2 and 3. Still taking the shortest lines. Taking and using that momentum. This is an exciting day here in San Jose. The weather is perfect. The course is demanding. It is the race of truth today. Like I said, I keep going back and forth with who's going to be on that podium. It's going to be an exciting finish. And we're coming by the lake here on a flatter section. Still having that tailwind on our back. Still in the first half of that race course. Starting with the second half, we're going to start a treacherous descent. I call it treacherous because, wow, you definitely can lose a lot of time if you go down there. Windy, twisty corners leading off to an open highway. It looks like we just had Evelyn Stevens, and it looks like Allison Powers is well on her way trying to close that gap to Evelyn Stevens. Allison Powers was the last starter of today's race. Again, 30-second increments between all the riders. Allison is a well-rounded time trialist. She's been national champion. She's won just about every NRC time trial there is. But wow, we have seen Evelyn Stevens and Allison Powers go head-to-head, back and forth these last couple years, and boy, has it been close. They're two different riders. Evelyn is so strong on the climbs. Allison is so strong on the flats. And so this first half of the course, Allison Powers really has to put some time on Evelyn, because that last half of the course, Evelyn Stevens is going to really show her strength up that climb. Like I said, there is no better way than to have a 30-second rabbit to keep you focused in a time trial. Allison Powers is riding for Now Novartis. Boy, does she look strong today. We're getting very close with all these time differences here. This 30-second interval seemed like there's a lot of cars on the road at one time. Not only can Allison see Evelyn right in front of her, but now you have the rider right in front of the SRAM car. I believe that must be Jade, right in front of Evelyn. When you pass a rider, you want to come up really quick on her, but really take it by force. You're trying to, at the same time as passing her, you're trying to make that rider lose motivation. Boy, this is an exciting day. Here we go. We have a slight downhill. And again, like I said, this is Allison Powers' strengths, this first part of the course. The technicality is amazing. You can see all the people on the course. This is the left-hand turn going along the lake. And here we are back on Amber Neben. Looking good here. I apologize. I haven't had any time splits yet out on the course. And so it's going to be really fun to see all these women come across the finish line and really keep track. It's going to be really in a span of 12 minutes where we're going to see who's going to be on the podium today and who's going to just miss that podium. Here we go. Now you can see the tactics. Evelyn now is using Allison Powers as her rabbit. We have 3 riders so close together. But there's no forgiveness on this course. It's either up or down, headwinds, crosswinds. Here we go, side-by-side shot. We have Amber Neben looking strong. And we have, here we go, Allison Powers and Evelyn Stevens going back and forth, bunny hopping one another. Amber, it looks like she has an advantage here because she has a clean road, no cars in front of her. She's just in her zone. And I think that with what I just saw in the picture before with Evelyn and Allison and Jade out there with 2 cars, it seemed a little bit chaotic. Amber's able to focus, and that's what's really important when it comes to the race of truth and time trialing. She has a nice cadence, nice and smooth. You can see the Cannondale banners up there on the hillside. You can see the wind just flapping the banners back and forth, that the wind is really picking up but again, it's still at the riders' backs. Well, here we go. We have passed Jade Wilcoxon from Optum, and it looks like Allison and Evelyn are riding side by side. Wow. I'm not sure if you just settle in as a rider or if you want to continue playing this cat and mouse game, because I'm sure those heart rates are shooting up every time you make that surge past the other rider. Pretty soon we're going to come upon the technical section of this course, which comes at about mile 9. And at that point, whether you're Allison or Evelyn, you're going to want to lead that charge, that downhill first position, so that you're not held up, especially with Allison Powers being a downhill ski racer prior to a pro cyclist. Like I mentioned earlier, Evelyn's strength here is a climb, and she's putting some time on Allison Powers. Here we go. It looks like Amber Neben has hit the descent. So we're halfway through the course. Again, you have to decide how much you want to risk it here. These corners are super tight. And as you can see, oh no, Amber has gone down. I knew that this was something that you had to be really careful on. The disc wheel, sometimes when you grab that right brake, it's so heavy, and the momentum of that disc can really, really take control of you. That's really unfortunate because Amber was having such a great day. Oh, you have to be so careful. When I was driving this course yesterday with my husband, he said, "Kristen, I'm so glad you're not racing any longer, because this is what would really put me on edge, watching you go down this descent." Wow, I feel like I'm racing today. My heart goes out for Amber. My stomach is sick at the moment. As you can see, with 30-second intervals, this is really going to make the riders slow down, as when they see a fellow cyclist on the side of the road, they don't want the same thing happening to them. So Amber has set an example for the rest of the riders behind her to really, really take this corner carefully. It's a good thing Amber was able to get out of the way before the next rider came down. Like I said, only 30-second intervals between all of them. It looks like she's having a problem. I'm not sure. She hit her left shoulder pretty hard. And here we are with Jade Wilcoxon on Optum. She's going to come up, rounding these corners, taking risks, and sometimes those risks are unnecessary. But when that adrenaline's coming through, you can't help and hold yourself back. It's easier said than done here watching this television coverage. But I don't wish that upon anyone. You can see people on the side of the road are trying to slow the riders down, saying, "Be careful. We don't want this happening to another rider today." It looks like maybe Amber has a hurt shoulder on the side of the road. She took that wall pretty hard. It was pretty forceful on that left shoulder there. It looks like Jade is riding very smoothly through these corners. And up ahead, it looks like you still have Evelyn and Amber still side by side, neck to neck. It looks like this is going to be an interesting race to the top of that Metcalf climb. Once we round these corners and get through this technical section, we're going to go out in the open highway. Like I said, really hot black pavement, headwind, 4 miles until we take that right-hand turn to the final climb. Well, here we have Evelyn Stevens is following the downhill, the descending champion of the peloton, Allison Powers. I tell you what, it's a good move on Evelyn Stevens to get behind Allison, because Allison is going to take great lines, and she's so confident in her descending skills. And Evelyn, she just continues to get better in her technical skills as well. But to be able to follow a confident rider down these descents is really a huge advantage. And as you can see, we're taking that left-hand turn here onto the flat road. You can see the pavement being nice and smooth. Pavement resurfaced prior to the Tour of California. And here we have Jade. Jade is definitely using these girls as rabbits. Wow. It looks like it's going to be bunny hopping back and forth. The question now is, does Evelyn go past Allison, or does she just wait for the bottom of the climb and use Allison as a rabbit and a motivator? This, you can't tell watching on screen, but the headwind here is so strong for these riders. So we really have to try to be as aerodynamic as possible. Oh, and here I just noticed that Evelyn Stevens does not have a disc wheel on either. She has opted for that shallow wheel, as many riders have. So again, I'm guessing Evelyn Stevens is not going to use a bike change at the base of that climb. Here we go. We're back to Evelyn Stevens bypassing Allison Powers for a third time. You know, I think out there, I can't imagine what's going through these riders' minds right now, because it seems like they're going so equally in power that it's hard to sit back and just watch the rider in front of you go ahead. And so that's why I think that this game of cat and mouse and back and forth is happening. Here we go. It looks like we're back on Jade Wilcoxon here. She has a very aerodynamic position. She has her head low. She knows how important in this headwind it is to gain time back on Allison Powers. And really, I think right at this point, Jade can only hope that she is going to get herself a third place on that podium. She lost a lot of time at first. As you saw, Allison Powers, that was her minute person. She caught and passed Jade really quickly. But now Jade is using those follow cars as her motivation. Once again, here we have Evelyn Stevens on the right-hand side and Allison Powers. You know, at the end of the day, I think that they just need to go side by side. We can just have a 4-mile drag race between the two riders. Like I said, for the last couple of years, they've been going back and forth in their time trials. And there's no better way than to have competition within your own country to help you get to that next level. So I think this is really making each rider stepping up a notch. Because at the end of the day, our goal in America is to be on that podium at World Championships representing the United States of America, as well as in the next Olympic Games in Rio. And I think we're well on track. Evelyn Stevens was second in the World Championship time trial last year, really showing you where she's going to go in the future. It's not going to be long before she's going to be wearing those rainbow stripes. Here we are, we're back on Jade, and you can see Jade is keeping those girls in sight. I mean, I think there probably is just a distance of 10 to 15 seconds there. So although Jade lost a quick minute to Allison Powers from the start, she's not going to let her gain any more time out here in this flat headwind section. It looks like Evelyn Stevens and Allison are respecting one another. They're riding side by side. They're not using the draft of one another. They're just head down, focused, who's the most aerodynamic and who can really power to that base of that climb. Again, you can see on the look of Jade, she's just focused on getting to that right-hand turn. And Jade, you know, she's an all-arounder. She can actually finish races. She can go uphill. She's a wonderful teammate. Whatever job she's given, she's going to do it to 110%. Here we go, Allison Powers once again. You know, Allison Powers comes from a downhill ski background, so that transition has been interesting, but she definitely loves the sport of cycling. And here, Evelyn Stevens, her aero position looks great. You can tell her booties are very aerodynamic as well. But Allison's not going to let her have more than a couple seconds. The nice thing is that Allison Powers is still keeping that nice high cadence, as is Evelyn Stevens. So to me, they're looking fresh. They're pacing themselves well. And boy, they're both on the Specialized S-Works Shiv. And so their equipment, everything they have right now is equal. So it's now, like I said, it's a race of truth. And it's going to come down to who's going to get up that last climb, the Metcalf climb. Nice and smooth. Optin rider chose the disc wheel in the back. She's riding that Orbea bike. Again, an all-around rider, just trying to fight for that last podium position. There's no give here. You can tell these two are definitely competitive riders. Allison Powers, she rides for the Now and Novartis for MS team. And not only do they want to ride their bikes at the highest level, but they're also paired on tandem bikes with people living with MS at select high-profile charitable bike MS events around the country. The goal of this team is to show the world that MS does not define those living with the disease. So they're not only riding their bikes every day and wanting the best results for themselves, but they're out there for a good cause and doing really great things for the communities that they're part of. Evelyn Stevens, she obviously has such a great story. She was working on Wall Street, turned to a bike racer, moved to Boulder, Colorado, and is also living part-time in Girona, Spain. She's really embraced the lifestyle of cycling and has really shown that she is one of the best in the world in just a few years. I'll never forget Evelyn. When I was back in New York doing a big event, she was on a local team, and all her teammates came up to me and said, "We really want to introduce you to this Evelyn Stevens. She's the real deal." And I said, "Awesome. I want to meet her." And I met Evelyn and helped her get on a couple teams as a guest rider, Team ProMan, Team WebCore, and sooner than we knew it, she was riding for the U.S. national team. Part of the World Championship team in 2009 with me, where she was an integral part to my result. And wow, within the first few years of being a pro cyclist, she was part of the U.S. Olympic team in the London Games. And I think the drive and motivation she has now as part of the specialized Lululemon team, you're definitely going to see more podiums at a world-class level in years to come. And look out for her in Rio in 2016. It's definitely going to be one of the favorites showing up. Here we go. Like I said, they're not letting up. In fact, they're coming upon another rider here. But they're not going to let each other out of sight. It's just a back and forth match here. But you have to think, Evelyn has already lost 30 seconds to Allison Powers. So when they do make that right-hand turn to the finishing climb, Allison's going to have to keep 30 seconds over a matter of 3K to Evelyn Stevens. It's going to be a tough, tough job to do, as Evelyn Stevens is a world-class climber. And here we come. We're coming up on another rider. It looks like number 7, Lauren Stevens, guest riding for Team TIPCO out of Dallas, Texas, just having come off a big win at the Presbyterian Criterium. Looks like Evelyn is making her move. She's gaining a little bit of momentum. She's determined to continually add as many seconds as possible before we get to the Metcalf climb. I saw earlier today, driving up to the top of the mountain on Metcalf, they had a citizens race prior, and it was so neat to see all these people pass the start-finish line at the top of the mountain, and they had given it them their all. It was not too different than the second stage of the men climbing up that tram. The citizens were so proud to finish the same course that both the men and women are going to finish today here in San Jose. Wow, it looks like Evelyn Stevens has kicked it into gear. She's putting a few more bike links on Allison, and at the end of the day, that's all she needs leading into that Metcalf climb, because we know that Evelyn Stevens is going to be able to put time up the mountain on Allison Powers here. Allison Powers is not going to give an inch, though. She's going to come back. It looks like with all the cars parked, we are approaching what could be the right-hand turn. It won't be quite the base of the climb, but it will start with a couple undulating climbs, steep in pitch, some downhill momentum, and then we'll see that final right-hand turn. And from that final right-hand turn, we have exactly 1.6 miles to the top. I saw a few people walking up this course earlier today, as I think some of the pitches are well over 20%. But like I said, the average is 10%. Here we go, opt-in rider number 3, Jade Wilcoxon, still keeping those follow vehicles in her sight. You can see the wind, the flags blowing. It looks like they got past this part with the headwind straight in their face. Once they make that right-hand turn, they're well their way. And what I hear is there is a nice tailwind up that climb today. I haven't had any updates on Amber and Eben today, but I sure hope that she's okay. And you know, it's always about one step forward, two step back, and sometimes it's tough to swallow, but it's part of the sport. And I know if anyone can come past this and get past this, it's definitely Amber and Eben. You can see the Amgen Tour California, the finish line here. It looks like we're going to have some of the girls starting to finish here today on top of Metcalf Hill. The wind continues to pick up. It's about 60 degrees out there, so we're really lucky that we are not faced with the 114-degree weather that the men were faced with early on in the Tour of California. You know, I want to take a moment to thank Amgen and the Tour of California for recognizing, having the women's event, inviting 15 top cyclists from around the nation, around the world, and showcasing this on the official Amgen Tour of California Tour Tracker. Is that Amber Neben back? Amber Neben is back on her bike. Wow. This is amazing. It looks like they are showing Amber following in her crash again, doing a recap. I didn't think that she was back on her bike. I apologize for that. She definitely looks like, when I saw her earlier, she was down. They're just taking a moment to recap this awful crash that she had today. You can see she locked up her rear wheel, and she hit very hard into the rocks on the side of that road. Unfortunate day for Amber Neben, the current national champion. I sure hope that she can come back and try to defend her title in Chattanooga, Tennessee, next week at the Pro National Championships. And here we are at the finish line. Spectators are waiting patiently for their first riders to cross the line. It shouldn't be long before we see likes of Mara Abbott, Katie Compton, triathlete Julie Dibbins, Robin Farina. It's going to be an exciting finish. I think there's going to be a lot of very close times, and it's going to be a fight for that podium here today in San Jose. Again, I just want to officially thank the Amgen Tour California Tour Tracker team for including the women in Stage 6 of the Amgen Tour California. It's such an honor to be showcased here with the top men from around the world. And we hope that we are showing a fine display of women and what we are in our abilities to race on the same courses as men across the world. Looks like the crowds are picking up. They're not only making their way up there to Metcalf Mountain to watch the women finish, but right after the women finish, we're going to have the men begin their Stage 6 with a lot of exciting racing still to happen with the men's race as well. Today when I was driving up the Metcalf Mountain, I think it's going to take about 11 minutes to get up this mountain. It is definitely a steep climb with switchbacks, and it's not typical to have such a finish on a time trial bike. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the women would do if they were to do it over, to come back next year, because there are so many indecisions around whether they should use a time trial bike, do a bike change. But a lot of the factors that you have to think about when making a bike change is the momentum going into the climb. You're going to lose some of that momentum and some of that focus. Have you practiced getting on and off your bike as quickly as possible? There's a lot to think about But I do know that we should see Mara Abbott come up this mountain and cross the finish line soon. And we should see her on her road bike, as I know that her plan was to do a bike change. Looks like we have Allison Powers back here. And they're still bunny hopping one another. It's going to be a close race. It looks like we're coming back actually to a previous part when Allison first overtook Evelyn with Jade up front. We're going back to some of the coverage. Hopefully soon we'll be getting some of the finishing results. And there is word that Mara has made the bike change. She is on the way up on the hill, and I expect her to be crossing the finish line in the very near future. And there's again Allison Powers just looking so strong on that last flat section. Again, just reiterating, Evelyn Stevens and Allison Powers just going head to head. This is going to be a really, really exciting finish. Such a great way to prepare prior to Chattanooga Pro Nationals next week. We're going to really see the riders who are in form today preparing for next week's Pro Nationals. I was talking earlier to triathlete Julie Dibbins and just wishing her luck. And she says so excited and so thrilled to be part of this elite group of road cyclists here today at the Tour of California Amgen Time Trial. And it was so neat to feel Julie's excitement to really kind of cross over from that multi-sport discipline over to the road racing side of things. I definitely saw that she was nervous, but she was definitely excited. And I spoke with Katie Compton and her husband Mark earlier today as well in the parking lot at the start line, and just to see the enthusiasm and just to be part of this, coming from two different disciplines. I mean, Katie comes from cyclocross and Julie Dibbins comes from the multi-sport world. And it's so exciting to open up our sport to so many different people. You know, we're all out there working hard, doing the same thing, trying to race as professional athletes. And I think there's just a really high respect for one another. And so I'm sure it would be the same as if one of our riders who had interest in triathlon being invited to a world-class championship in the sport of triathlon. I think it would be an honor as well. But to feel that excitement, it was like the first day of school. It was just that the night before Christmas feeling. It was just giddy. Oh, it looks like we have one of the official Tour of California Amgen cars coming through the start-finish line. Maybe this is a sign that Mara Abbott is soon going to make her way around that left-hand bend into the finish line. We should know very soon. And once Mara crosses the finish line, remember, we had 30-second time intervals with only 15 riders. So it's only going to be a matter of minutes before every rider is coming and making their way. And here we go. We have a specialized rider coming through. All right. I just got word that number 4, Amber Neben, is not out there racing any longer. Her crash did take her out, unfortunately. Hopefully, we wish her well and hope that she makes a great recovery for Nationals next week in Chattanooga. All right. We're still waiting for the girls to come through, finishing the time trial here. It should be any time that we see Mara Abbott coming across that line. The wind is definitely going to pick up. You can see the flags in the background. The men's race is going to definitely be a challenging race. I think there's a lot of time to be gained, a lot of time to be lost today. So it's going to definitely make the GC for the men a very interesting competition, especially with the stages that we have coming tomorrow. Mount Diablo is going to be just another one of those epic stages that I think we're all going to stay tuned on. I thought it was really, really neat this morning to see all the citizens out there being able to have the opportunity to ride on the same course as both the pro men and women today. The sense of accomplishment that I saw from riders crossing the line was absolutely amazing. In fact, I think that their race probably is going to mean more to them today than maybe some of the pro cyclists out there currently. It was just a moment of satisfaction. It was really, really neat to see. It looks like the motos are no longer out on the course with the women. We're going to be watching the finish line. And so now we're going to be on the edge of our seats, waiting for the women to come across the line, probably within seconds of one another. Like I said, 15 riders today, 30 seconds apart. We're going to be within a time period of 7-8 minutes of finishers, and they're going to come quickly. 3.1 kilometer finishing climb, 10% average. Wow, what a way to finish a 20-mile time trial. I say I wish I was out there, but yet, you know, still being part of the excitement, still having the anxiety. That's kind of what it's all about. So I'm really excited to be part of these Girls' Day and just showcasing this great event alongside the men's pro cyclists. It's a beautiful showcase here of what the riders, well, I wish the riders could see this today, but I know that they're going to be so focused in on their time trial today that half the time we don't even get to see the beauty of what San Jose has to offer. But you can see the lake and the trees. It's gorgeous out there. As the wind's picking up, you can see the California state flag. You know, next week in Chattanooga, it will be interesting as the course isn't as, oh, here we go. We're at an aerial. You can see the climb. I want to give you a nice picture view of what the riders are facing today. They're taking that right-hand turn, and you can see the car going up part of the climb. You know, some of us are out recreating on ski boats today and ski jets, but there's a lot of us out there that are suffering, and maybe post-race, maybe next week, maybe off-season, they can get out there and do a little ski-do. I think that's what we all wish. Luckily, those riders won't even notice that water activity today. We're still waiting here at the finish line of the Tour of California, waiting for the women to cross the finish line. It looks like Mara Abbott has 5 kilometers left to climb before she reaches the line. Katie Compton was not able to catch Mara on the course, and as we know, Mara Abbott is pretty much a mountain goat. She is going to be definitely the first one to cross that line today, as she is the top climber here at the Tour of California time trial. Wow, you know, it's amazing being retired for just probably 9 months now and finding the balance in life again, and just still one of the greatest things that has happened in my retirement is that I can still be part of women's cycling, be part of the official Amgen Tour California Tour Tracker team, and just be one with the athletes. I know them so well. And being able to take these trips out to San Jose, out to Chattanooga, and being part of Team Exergy 2016, it's wonderful. You know, I'm still out there riding my bike from time to time, but to retire from the sport of cycling and still love the sport and follow it, and still have a connection with the girls. Being able to offer my advice, a lot of times I'm keeping things at the time trial as back in my back pocket, not wanting to share as much. But now I feel open. I feel really good about sharing all the little things that make you that world-class rider. A lot of times I think that we get to a certain level in the sport of cycling, and our training virtually is the same, our fitness level is the same, but what differentiates you as a time trialist versus the rest of the world is what you're doing off the bike, your nutrition, your sleeping habits, the aerodynamics, taking that extra time to dial in your fit, to work with your sponsors. Oh, here we go. It looks like we finally are going to see Mara Abbott from Exergy 2016 out of the saddle, rounding this last corner. Boy, she still looks strong. She's definitely did that bike change, and it looks like it was a successful bike change for her, but she's definitely going to set the time standard and what we need to watch for with all the remaining 14 riders to come in. Wow, Mara in 2010 was a Giro Donne champion, the first ever American to win the Giro d'Italia for women. She's an amazing rider, and still a lot to come in her career. And here she goes. Last few bends, rounding that corner, getting out of that saddle, trying to make up that extra second or two. Wow. She has set the standard of 59 minutes, 58:59. How exciting. So I'm guessing that the next rider that we're going to see come across this line, I don't know. Are we going to see Katie Compton? Are we going to see Julie Dibbins? Oh, here we go. Is this Kristen McGrath? Kristen McGrath is coming in after Mara Abbott. Wow. Here we go. She started a few minutes back behind Mara Abbott. She's making her final turns to the finish line. Wow, Kristen McGrath, I think she might have had the ride of her life. She's going to get up, out, try to grab those last few seconds. Wow, I'm impressed here. Here we go. We have a 57. Oh, my goodness gracious. I think she has set the time standard today, 57:12. Definitely Kristen McGrath has had the ride of her career today. And here we go. We have Robin. Oh, it looks like Julie Dibbins here on Trek. Wow, what a strong showcase today. Coming from, gosh, her distance is typically a half Ironman, which is 56 miles. She's not used to 20-mile time trials. But for her to be finishing this strongly today, that is just, what a great finish for Julie Dibbins. She's coming up on the final turns here today on Metcalf Hill. Out of the saddle, again, just trying to get every ounce of energy she can out of these last few pedal strokes. I can't wait to ask Julie how she feels about just time trialing. I'm super excited, and I told her today, just think, she doesn't have to get off the bike today and run a half marathon. That's incentive. Here we go with a 59:49. Wow, what a great performance today by Julie. She's the best American that has ever raced cyclocross, a very popular sport in Belgium.